Excuse me. Good morning. Someday you'll join us, and the world will never find. Oh, good morning. How is everybody? Good morning, good morning. I'm multitasking. I'm not ignoring you guys, I promise. Good morning. I hope you guys have a great hump day also. How's everybody's week going? Good morning. Why are you feeling ignored, Happy Mama? I'm multitasking. I gotta get a couple more packages out the door today. Thank you for the heart, me. And I'm technically working. It's been a while. I have not been live in a while. Oh, sugar. Thank you for the hand heart. I hope someday you'll join us. I've been around. I will be so honest with y'all. I've been struggling a little bit. Most people know that May is the month that I lost my dad, so it's already a hard month as it is, but they recently found an old friend of mine's remains out in the woods, not far from here. She went missing in 2022. She was in heavy addiction, very heavy addiction, and she went missing in 2022, and they just found her remains. Thank you for the heart meme. And I haven't talked to her in, oh gosh, probably 10 years, to be honest. I haven't talked to her. But, you know, we were best friends at one point. Like, she moved into my apartment with me, and when it came close to time for her to give birth, we rented a whole house together. I helped her get clean at one point. I was there for the birth of her child. I mean, we were together all the time. And I had to step away from her 10 years ago because she was slipping and getting worse, not better. And it became a very toxic, triggering environment for me. So Yeah. But that never meant that I stopped caring about her. And I would always, on Facebook, check in on her when she wouldn't know it. But, I don't know. Thank you for the gifts. Hey, Green Eyes. I've been struggling with it a little bit. Addiction is a terrible disease. And it breaks my heart because she has multiple children. And, one of the daughters is with their dad. Two of the daughters is with their dad. She has several children, y'all. A few of her kids are with the foster mom. And for these last 3 years, they already had minimal communication with her. But for these last 3 years, they had no idea what was going on with their mommy. And then to find out that they're never going to hear her voice again, it just really breaks my heart. I appreciate you, Snoopy's girl. Same, happy mama, same. And it's not like being missing for 3 years that the thought wasn't in everybody's head that she was probably not here anymore, because she would have contacted someone. But that doesn't mean, too, that there wasn't just that small, tiny piece of hope that she had ran off to rehab and was getting treatment and working on herself and chose to isolate herself from everybody so that she could focus on herself. That was my hope, even though I knew it was not likely reality. Good morning, homegirl. And every time I log on to Facebook, because she's been all over the news, literally, every time I log on Facebook, there are news posts or personal posts, and her face is all over them. And I've had nightmares. I'm not going to lie to y'all. I have had nightmares. I don't know how to say your name, so I'm going to call you Gigi. But a friend of mine went missing in 2022. We actually used to live together. We rented a house together. I was there for the birth of one of her kids. And they just found her remains not that long ago. They're still waiting on autopsy results. That's how recent. And like I said, she was in heavy addiction and had been for a while. Her DLC started out being pain medication. And when they took her last child, she really started to spiral and started to do things like schmeth. And at one point, she would just do whatever. I just feel bad for her kids. And she wasn't really around for her kids from the get-go, but they had some communication with her, and they've already been through so much. Now they have to go through the thought process of, my mommy was missing for 3 years, and her bones were just laying out in the woods. Literally, they found her bones out in the woods. It's been wild. It is terrible. I don't know. Like I said, addiction is a terrible disease. Absolutely, Happy Mom. I've just lost way too many people to addiction. And I'm going to tell y'all something. We do recover. We absolutely do. And I know a lot of people have given up hope on Lisa Richard. A lot of people think that Lisa doesn't have a rock bottom. And a lot of people are hyper fixated on the bad things that Lisa has done in her addiction. And look, I get it. I get it. I 100% get it. She has done some shitty ass things to people. And she continues to have shitty ass behavior. But here's my thing with that is Happy Mama, she's getting there. I think that she is. I don't watch her, but I obviously see clips, and every now and then I will watch the clip, especially here lately. And I feel like if anybody can get through at any point to Lisa right now, is when somebody could get through to her. Because she doesn't have that stable environment to fall back on. She doesn't have that stable home. She doesn't have her parents right now to fall back on. The only thing she has to fall back on at this point is TikTok. That's it. If there is any getting through to Lisa right now would be the time. But the problem with that is you have the enablers, but then you also have the people who are constantly shoving negativity down her throat. And I will tell you, from experience being the addict and loving the addict, when you're consistently pushing that negativity down her throat, and when you're constantly reminding them of their fuck-ups, you're constantly reminding them of how shitty of a person that they are, they're never going to go get help. You are just pushing them further and further into the depths of their addiction and closer to her demise. And I stand on that. The people that are constantly telling her how shitty of a person that she is, that are constantly reminding her of her shitty behaviors, are just pushing her further into the depths of addiction and closer to her demise. Yes, I think that she needs to be held accountable for her actions, but there is no accountability in the addiction state that she is in right now. There is no accountability. You can't expect her to take accountability when she doesn't even remember if she slept the day before. She can't even remember the last time she took a shit because she is so far gone right now. Exactly. She has to get better and then eventually face accountability. Part of the 12 steps is accountability. Facing the things that you have done, facing the people that you have wronged. But there's no point in trying to get her to do that right now because it wouldn't be sincere even if she did. If everybody would focus on reminding her that she is worth a sober life, then we may get somewhere with that situation. Yeah, it is. She's going to need more than just rehab. She's going to need some serious therapy, some serious mental health treatment. And it's going to take her time to be in a position to where she can take accountability. And it's going to be baby steps. If you try to force it all on her at once, it's just going to slip her back into a bad state. And you know, Journey, that's great. That's great that that happened with you. But if you look at the average statistics for the average addiction, and I say this all the time, everybody's addiction is different and everybody's recovery is different, but there are also a lot of similarities. A lot of similarities. However, being someone that has watched Lisa for multiple years, I can say with the utmost certainty that reminding her of those things is not getting her anywhere. Because she already feels worthless. She already feels like a fuck up. She already feels like a shitty person. And in her mindset, everybody else sees her that way, so why the fuck should she change? She's already lost everything. Right. Gabby's usually screenshots.
Yeah, she's got a lot of pain behind this. Lots of pain that once she does finally get clean, that she's really just gonna have to, like you said, therapy. Just because I think there was pain before things got really
Mhm.
bad,
It was.
and it's she honestly triggers me, not in a I'm gonna run out and use or anything, but triggers me because I know because every addict was a Lisa at one point in their lives. Um, we do shitty things. We do shitty things, and we don't care because we just push it away and worry about the next one and the next one and the next one. I do feel for her, and I know that her recovery journey is not going to be easy if she ever takes that. She just needs to take those steps, but only
Well,
she can do it.
and I will say this because therapy is so critical. And I see you guys in the chat. Well, first of all, Kyle, my friends are not going to turn their back on me for having a conversation about Lisa. I will say that. But then also, people saying in the chat, there's a lot of emotional stuff going on there and a lot of trauma. And here's the thing. That's why I say therapy has to happen. My dad, whenever he went to jail and he started to detox, when I tell you that he had so much trauma from being used by his dad, from watching his dad unalive himself, from losing his best friend, from losing his brother to an OB with a D, from losing his mom to murder. Like he had so much built up that was being numbed by those rugs. And once he was forced into detox, but he didn't have that mental help in jail, that is whenever he started to spiral. And because he didn't have that mental help, that is when he decided he no longer wanted to be here and he did what he did. I don't want to see that for anyone else. And if Lisa doesn't get the mental help that she needs throughout recovery, if she takes that step, it's not going to end well. You can't just have one or the other. You have to have both because it's going to be a
Yeah,
lot of emotions pouring
she
all
will
at once.
fail. She will fail if she does not get those emotions in check, because once she has clarity, everything's going to hit her like a ton of bricks that she has done, said, even something stupid. I still 10 years clean. I still wake up some nights and think about the stupid things I said or did, and yeah, that's that's where she is going to be at her rawest emotion, and in that early stages of recovery is the most crucial, not to turn around and go back and become numb again.
Yeah. It's
And I
it's
do understand insurance is, yes, they will pay for a 28-day program, but she's going to need more than 28 days.
Oh, absolutely. She needs a minimum of 6 months, preferably a year. And then when she does leave, she needs to continue to have some type of outpatient. Now, I will say,
Right.
a
Yeah, halfway
while
house.
a while ago, I had reached out to Jess, so I still communicate every now and then with the counselor that worked with my dad at the methadone clinic. And she has been a saving grace for me in so many ways. She knows the passion that I have for helping people in active addiction, and she's always a great point of contact whenever I have questions or need resources for someone. And we've talked about Lisa and all the things when it comes to Lisa and the finances, the insurance, everything. And she shared a location with me, and it would be a few hours from where Lisa is now, but she could have helped figure out how to pay for it. Like it would have taken time, but she would have helped get her in contact with the right people to get all of that figured out. It was a beautiful location. It was wooded. I mean, it was peaceful. It was like serenity all in one. And it was nice. And once she left there, they would have still did like on-site outpatient treatment. They would have done Zoom meetings. She would have had consistent communication with them every single day when she leaves. It would have been great. And I sent it to Jess, but Lisa has to want
Yep, she
Do
has
it.
to want it. I tell you, I when I was at, I don't want to like bring it around to me, but when I was at my lowest and so desperate to get clean because I was sick and tired of being sick and tired, I even reached out to that A&E show Intervention. And I reached out to them and I said, please, can you help me? They called me back. They said, this is great. Your story is great. We would love to help you. And I'm thinking, so hopeful. Yes. And they said, okay, can you do us a favor? Can you record 6 people crying over you? I
Wow.
said, I don't know 6 people that would even care enough to cry over me. I got a very small family. And most of my friends are in active addiction. They're not going to cry over me on camera. Oh, well, we need a minimal of 6. Huh? Like I'm asking for help. Do you have any resources? Oh, we don't do that unless you're qualified for the show.
That's wild.
Yeah. So I will never watch that show ever again. And the success rate of that show is
Awful.
horrendous.
Yeah, a lot of people get clean, but they don't stay clean.
Yeah. But as for Lisa, I would love, I was thinking back when you mentioned, her even just a short little stint was that day that the spark in her eye that I did see the slight glimmer of something was after she got out of that 302. I
Yeah,
saw it for a second, a
I
split
did too.
second.
Listen,
Well,
there
unfortunately,
is still a human in there.
as
I
long as the money keeps coming, she's not going to stop. That's the sad reality.
well, I'm gonna say this, and I don't care who believes me. I really don't. Does she still get money? Yes. Does she still get the level of money that she used to? No, she doesn't. And that's why we don't, if they notice, we don't really see cocky Lisa anymore. Remember back in the day, I'll say laundry room days, whenever, one minute she would be spiraling and she would be crashing out, and then the next minute she would come on and she would be cocky AF. And you would know when she was cocky that she got the money and she got what she wanted. We don't see cocky Lisa near as
No.
much anymore. She's
We
getting
see
money. She's
crash
not
out
getting,
Lisa.
yeah,
Crash out Lisa is all we get.
yeah. But I will say this: there's still a human inside of her. Most people know that Lisa still will reach out to me every now and then, once in a blue moon. She has never asked me for money. She does watch my videos, and she knows, I'm going to be straightforward. I'm going to be blunt. I'm going to be transparent, but I'm not going to do it disrespectfully. And at Christmas time, when somebody was saying something to her about getting Jace something for
Mm.
Christmas, she, normally she doesn't mind showing that she's crying, and it's because they're the fake tears. They're the crash out tears, is what I call them. But this time, she turned her head as a tear fell, wiped her eyes, and then turned her face back to the screen. And when I tell you, I saw the most real version of Lisa at that point. There's still human in there. She is not 100% gone. The real Lisa, she's still in there, and that there's still hope. There's always hope. As long as she's waking up every day and seeing the sunrise and taking that breath, there is always hope. But I'm telling you, her body is shutting down, and if she doesn't do something and quick, it's not going to end well.
She lost her niche of ways to collect money. Now, what, hoagies and stogies, food. Food is her only thing that she can think of because everybody has seen so much of Lisa and there's nothing new. It's either Hab or food. That's her only 2 things she can ask for. She tried hotel. Well, you see how far that went. Yeah, it's she's got to be soon. Got to be. It's got to be.
Yeah, I'm telling you, and it's not just my gut. Like, it's, I don't know, maybe it's intuition or maybe it's just the experience in general. But I feel like if anybody is going to be able to get through to her right now, is when that's going to happen. But I don't know. I feel like maybe if someone that she's very close to, maybe one of her sisters, I don't know. I don't know. I know they've tried, but if somebody could just sit down with her and just really show her the emotion of the pain that they're feeling because of how worried they are about her, that maybe, just maybe, she would get in the car and go. And I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong. It could be my emotions talking from everything that has just recently happened with my friend. But something tells me that she is at that point to where it wouldn't take much to nudge her in that direction.
I will tell you that I get the feeling, Elisa, that she's a runner. So whatever facility she goes to will have to be a lockdown facility.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because she will, once the second those raw emotions hit, she's going to bolt like a lightning out of there.
And to the person in the chat, and I mean this with no disrespect, so please don't take this the wrong way. Mama of 3, Lisa isn't going to listen to anyone. Lisa cares only for herself. So here's the thing. Active addiction Lisa, when she is actually on the rugs, when she is under the influence, she doesn't even care for herself. She only cares about that feeling. She only cares about that euphoric high. That is all that she cares about. But when Lisa is coming down, she does care about other people. Like that's the thing. People are starting to look at her as like a robot, and they forget that, put the addiction to the side, and there is still a physical person there.
There's such a hard part with as many years as she's been doing this. Her DOC releases oxytocin, dopamine, and what's the other one?
Serotonin.
Yes, serotonin all at once in an immediate rush. She feels that happiness, and then it's gone because it's a very short acting DOC. She has probably depleted her dopamine levels. So I don't even know if Lisa knows what happiness is. And that breaks my heart with any addict, because once you have that clean time, it gets so much better. And I wish it for her. I do. I know she's done shitty things. I know she has. We all seen it. I just...
there's something more there. Here's the thing. Like, y'all got to understand that she is not the only addict that has gone to the extents that she's gone to. My dad literally abused us. My dad literally threatened to hire someone. And let me tell you, he was in a cartel. He absolutely could have done this, which is why I panicked and called the police. But he threatened to hire someone to come out to my house and unalive me and my children. He stole tens of thousands of dollars from my great-grandmother, who was already on her deathbed, and my aunt, his sister, who took care of him. He not only stole all of their money and drained their bank accounts and their credit cards, he stole everything they had worth value. He used his deceased brother's birth certificate to doctor shop, fraudulently as hell. But I will say, even in the extent of it all, I know he did not only care about himself. He was the most loving person when he was sober. He would give anybody the shirt off of his back. And the people that knew him knew that outside of that addiction, there was still this caring human there. It's not the person that only cares about themselves. They don't even give a F about themselves at that point. But it's the addiction that has that hold on them. Addiction changes your entire mentality, especially once you get so deep into it. You do things that you would never do sober because you're not in the proper mindset. And it's hard for anyone who has never gone through addiction or anyone who has never truly loved an addict that was very close to them to fully grasp and understand the situation. Because
I am not making excuses for Lisa. She has done shitty things.
Good morning,
and
Becky.
that's not my life for me to judge. She needs to do that herself.
And it's going to be a long, drawn-out process. Here's the thing. Addiction plays a big part in when people do things like what Lisa does, but that doesn't make addiction an excuse. Addiction is not an excuse. You can't use it as an excuse. But like I said earlier, you also can't expect accountability from her right now in the state that she's in, because it would mean nothing. It would not be genuine. It would not be honest. Accountability.
You got to start with the first step. I mean, she hadn't even taken the first step, because you see her, I'm not on anything. I'm not doing anything. There's denial. That's the first step.
Admitted it the other day. Did you see that?
The methadone, and she's not using her initial DOC that she's sober. And that's
she's in that false sense of sobriety, but Switching DOCs doesn't make you sober or
Well,
clean.
she seems to think it does. But also, I wanted to say to you, Happy Mommy,
Yes, ma'am.
congratulations on 10 years.
Oh,
That's a
thank
big
you.
deal.
It really is, and I fight. I fight every day still. I mean, I don't get triggered as much as I used to, but it's a constant. I am constantly pushing that rock up that hill.
Yeah, the challenge never stops. And I tell people all the time, because I will have 10 years in October, and I tell people it, yes, getting out of the addiction and taking that step to recovery is hard AF, but the challenge doesn't stop when you do that. That challenge is every day for the rest of your life to continue to get another day sober. And sometimes that challenge to get another day sober can be even more difficult than taking that first step. There are times where I have struggled so heavily, so badly that I thought about checking myself in somewhere. I won't lie, because I was scared. I was scared that I was going to slip. It's been a long time since that's happened, and I give a lot of that to God. But
And years of therapy has actually helped. So I don't, if I hit a bad day, run. Oh, I'm going to go use. I don't have that part of my brain that says, "Oh, let me go use because it's a bad day." You know what my part of my brain says? My brain says I would rather have 100 bad days clean than I would one day in active addiction.
And that's
And that has always
Like-
stopped my brain from saying, "Hey, okay, let's not think this way. Let's preoccupy my mind and do something else."
I
do
have
think that
35
basically-
I have 35 years, and
Wow.
it still affects my life in big ways. You know, I've had major surgeries where I've only accepted ibuprofen.
Yeah.
You know, and I had a knee replacement last July and only took ibuprofen with
But
a
be
total
nice.
knee replacement.
Isn't
because
the rule that if the medication is necessary, that it does not disrupt your sobriety? Because it's not that you
Yes.
want it, it's that you need it.
That's correct, but
It's
the
a slippery
problem with
slope.
that
You have
is
to take it
you
as
still
yeah.
have that fear in the back of your head.
Okay, see, I'm not an addict. I'm not going to claim to have ever been an addict. I loved an addict very much. He's my favorite person in the entire world. He's no longer with us because things happen. And I did watch him battle with sobriety. And what I learned from him was what I think
Thank you,
Lisa
guys.
needs. She needs detox, but she also, I mean, all of these chemicals have just retrained her brain. She needs a lot of psychological help.
she does. And I want to say this, because there are a lot of people on this app, and everybody's entitled to their opinion. And I have all the respect for everybody's opinions, but a lot of people on this app are against the MAT program.
Oh, I
Here's
think
the
it's
thing.
so important.
Matt saved my life. If it was not for Matt, I would have never probably gotten to the point that I am. However, everybody's Matt recovery is going to be different. Some people absolutely may have to take Matt the rest of their lives. Some people, after a certain point, Matt starts to do more harm for them than good. Do I think that Lisa needs to be on the methadone the rest of her life? Listen, I think that they need to get her to a good stable point and then eventually try to wean her, because my concern is with the methadone, because she correlates it so much to her DOC at this point. I just don't know. Like, I don't know. I could be wrong.
They
But
have her on such an elevated dose.
yeah.
I think that they
She's on
could,
a very high dose.
she really is. And I think that that's just trading one problem for another.
Okay, that's another thing that I know that isn't her fear. In recovery, a lot of facilities in Pennsylvania do give the MAT program as an option during the recovery process, the AB process. It is not the high dose that she is taking, which
Right.
means she would have to taper
Thank
down before even entering AB.
They wouldn't taper her down while also simultaneously
I
detoxing
was
her.
curious and called a bunch of rehabs in Pennsylvania. Just curiosity, research purposes, curiosity. I was with my awareness group, and just to see. This was the first time when she said that she was going to go.
Well, I think she should go someplace besides Pennsylvania. She needs to go to California and start a new life away from all of her old triggers. And
I I went to rehab in Pennsylvania actually, and I do know of a rehab that would taper her down on that high dose while detoxing in the rehab.
I just don't know if tapering her down while she is in active detox, like those early stages of
Yeah,
detox, I
yeah.
Oh,
don't think
yeah.
that that would be the best
Oh,
alternative. But do I think that eventually tapering her down?
oh,
Absolutely. But I
yeah.
think baby steps. You know
Matt,
what I mean?
Matt saved my life. I will be the biggest spokesperson in the world for it. I went on Sublocade about 3 weeks into my rehab, and it completely changed my life. So,
Oh, 100%. I ate the sub sandwiches in my early recovery.
yeah,
I
I only did the strips for like 3 days, and then I went on the injection once a month, and
oh, okay.
the injection has been like a lifesaver, like literally
I
saved my
got
life.
I got so far down that one strip would last me a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And by that point I was like, well, I think I'm good. I think I'm done. And that I tell you that week was a lot of anxiety and a lot of
No feeling.
uh
No.
nervousness,
Oh
but
yeah.
that after that week I was fine and I walked away and knock on wood I've stayed away.
And
So
I just wanted to say to everyone who is in recovery and putting their sober date in the chat, congratulations. It really does take a village to stay sober. Um, and if anybody ever needs help, my inbox is always open. I'm always up to talk day or night. Just I'd rather someone reach out than suffer in silence.
I agree.
same. I also have resources if anybody's struggling, sick, or knows somebody sick and struggling. Reach out to me. My DMs are open. I got you.
So I want to say thank you guys for having this live and being
Awesome.
so vulnerable
Absolutely.
because you never know.
Oh, you're cutting out a lot, Savage. It's getting
And
really
Green
low.
Eyes, congratulations, honey.
Yeah, I'm so
Thank you.
proud of everybody. Like you guys have Becky Lynn, for example, says that she only has 6 months, and so she's still on the struggle bus. Listen, the struggle bus is real from 6 months to 6 years, but 6 months is a major accomplishment, and you should be so proud of yourself. I'm so proud of you. One day in recovery is a huge accomplishment and something to be proud of.
well,
Absolutely.
isn't that why they say one day at a time?
Yes.
Fact.
1 second. One
Yeah,
second
listen,
at a time.
some days it's 1 second at a time.
Yep,
Absolutely.
1 second.
Very true.
And if
Good
I
morning,
can
ladies.
shameless plug to good old Ragged here. If you guys have not purchased any of her beauty products, please do. I bought
Oh,
some
they're
for my
amazing.
15-year-old daughter, and she is high on life right now. She smells like a delicious raspberry going to school. The scrub is cleaning up the KP that she has on her arms, so she's super excited about that. And Raggedy was sweet enough to handwrite a note for my daughter and put a little extra in there, just her great products, very good quality, on point, and I can't thank her enough. She really made my little girl's day.
Listen, I'm glad that it made her happy. When you told me it was for your daughter, I had to do a little extra. I like to make people smile, but it makes me feel even better because I have a 15-year-old daughter too. So,
Well, she's really been going through a lot with anxiety, and she's dealing with some PTSD in therapy, some actual PTSD, something Gabby doesn't know anything about. And
Yeah.
she's pushing herself so hard. She's a straight A honor student, and it's just getting more challenging for her. So she feels like she's failing, which is wild to me. And so in one of her therapy sessions, we decided that we're going to break each school day into its own. Like, we're going to sit down on Sunday and figure out what she's got to do for these days. And she's only going to focus on these days, but she also has to pick something that is self-love to do every day. And then I saw Raggedy's products and I got them. And that's her self-care every day. She gets in the shower and she uses sugar scrub and comes out smelling like a whole raspberry field. She's
I love that for her.
and honestly, Raggedy, the best part of that was she was like, she loves glitter pens because she's 15 and that's what she noticed. But
Let me tell you guys,
to my
Get
mom.
Raggedy's whipped soap. That stuff is amazing. Amazing.
She makes
Every time I
lovely
get something,
stuff.
I'm so obsessed with it. But
And
this whipped soap is just awesome.
Green Eyes, I'm glad when I first came across you, you were having health issues.
I still am.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's
Hey,
okay.
Krista.
But I didn't want to ignore that you said that you were like 35 years sober.
Yes.
Congratulations on that. That is amazing.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
That is an inspiration. That's who I aspire to be, because, 100% great job, girl.
Yeah, but I do want people to know it is a lifelong struggle, and anybody that's been in recovery for any extended period of time knows that no matter how much time passes, those things don't just automatically disappear from our lives. It's a great feeling to be further and further removed from it, and in a lot of ways, it still seems like yesterday, but it does always follow me around. It has had serious consequences on life choices that I've had to make throughout the years.
But I think that those are lessons. And if you learn from them, it gives it value.
Facts.
Well, and I mean, we're an amazing community. We really, truly are. You know, if Lisa came to any one of us, truly asking for help, we would all do it. I'm constantly praying for her and constantly praying for her family. I also, both of my parents were addicts as well. And so I know the hurt that her kids are going through and the pain. And
And
like
embarrassment.
Raggedy, I've been on both sides of it, and there's a lot of pain associated with that.
It is. Listen, I will say that the last time Lisa reached out to me, I flat out just laid it all out there for her, and I told her, I know what your kids are going through. I know the worry and the concern and the fear and the heartache. I know how all of that feels. I said, if it's anything like what I went through, I would debate every night when I would go to bed. Should I put my phone on D&D or should I leave my volume on? Because I never knew if I was going to get that call that, my dad had done too much or whatever it was to say that he was gone. I didn't want to hear the phone ring for that call, but at the same time, I didn't want to miss it if I got that call. And the fact that that was the last thought that crossed my head every night before I laid my head on my pillow is sad. It's sad. And to think that anybody else has to feel that way, it just really, really bothers me. And that's why I can't watch her. That's why, because it's very triggering. But at the same time, I pray in silence so hard every day. But I don't just pray for Lisa. I pray for Lisa's family. Because at the end of the day, when you love an addict as much as I know her family loves her, it's the family that's hurting worse than the person in active addiction. Because right now,
Absolutely.
she's not feeling anything.
I
Not
read a quote one time. It said, "Loving an addict is like trying to hug smoke," and that is so true because they are just not there. They are not there, and they are not ready to hear you. Everybody could scream in her face, "You need to get clean. You need to get clean," and it's not. It's just like you might as well talk to the wall over there right now until she decides enough is enough.
Well, I do think that Raggedy is correct, that Lisa is scared. I think she's terrified because her entire adult life has been wrapped up in addiction. And what is she going to have? Who is she? She doesn't even know.
I think she's scared to face the pain of I'm going to be honest with y'all. Of course it hurts her that she has lost her kids, especially Jace. That's really bothered her. But also, I don't think that everyone, I know some people do, but I don't think that everyone really understands the pain that Lisa felt when Big Cole passed. And she has numbed that down as far deep as she could to where she has not 100% grieved losing Big Cole. And then losing Jace at the same time, that is her fear. Her fear is going into recovery and having to officially grieve Big Cole and having to face the pain of knowing that she failed Jace. I'm just being honest. She knows that she failed Jace. Yes, he's doing great right now, but she knows as the mother to raise him that she allowed herself to fail. And she doesn't think that there's any fixing that. She doesn't. She thinks that it is pointless, worthless, hopeless. She doesn't think that there's any fixing it. So rather than facing the pain of both of those things, she just continues to numb it down and plans to do that the rest of her life. That's
And
all that it is.
I always said that her whole family is going to need therapy.
Facts.
Her entire family, not just the kids, everybody.
And they have a program for that.
Yeah, they do 100%. And I hope I just thought about that. I hope Jace is getting therapy while he's trying to live his best life. I hope that, because I know he saw the worst of the worst. I know he did.
I don't know anything about that. I don't typically, I don't even usually say his name, to be honest.
I don't either. I don't. I leave him out of the equation.
I do know, and then we can kind of leave it at this with him. I do know that he is being taken great care of. I do know that he is thriving, and I'm sure that he's in some type of therapy, but I can't say that for certain. And I hope he is, but it's, again, not my.
That's what I'm saying.
But I mean, every one of her kids, every one of them only know her in addiction.
Yep.
And that's the sad reality. They all need to be getting that help.
Well, and see, I hear people say that a lot, but I don't know that I don't think people remember when Lisa would do the Discord all the time with Kim and she would go on stage. There was one night when Nikki and Abby both got in the box and they were having a conversation, and Nikki and Abby both said that the last 5 years is when things were really heavy as far as her addiction goes. But they were talking about conversations of before she was in active addiction. I don't know. I hear conflicting stuff on that when it comes to.
I know she's been on Matt program, I think 20 some years.
Yeah, and that's what they were saying is she used to do stuff with Big Cole, but it wasn't bad like what it is right now. They made it out like, she's still, I don't even know how to put this into words, but she was still, they call it a functional addict.
Functioning addict.
Yeah, she was a functioning addict up until the last however many years. And again, I think that when Big Cole passed away, that is when she really started to spiral downward, and because she didn't want to face the pain of grief.
I completely agree. I asked one of the sisters if Lisa's ever been a good mother. And she really thought about it, and she said, yeah, she was a really good mom for a significant amount of time. And I think that that's when Big Cole passed and everything kind of.
Yes, she wasn't with him. They had broken up, but still, just because you can have a soulmate and not be with them.
And they're still in love. Let's be so for real right now. And that was the father of her kids.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna add, I guess, a part of perspective here. I'm not an addict. I've never been an addict, but I'm the product of two addicts. One being an alcoholic and a user, and my mom being a user. And when my parents split up, because they were together for 23 years before they split up, because they were together well before they had me and my sisters. And when my mom and them and my dad split up, my mom's addiction got worse. Yeah. Almost kind of like Lisa's up until 5 years ago when my mom got sober. And I'm well into adulthood. I'm 33. So my mom's used my entire life. And while in Alabama, I've never even heard of Matt meds until I got on TikTok. I didn't know what that was.
Mm-hmm.
And
anybody that doesn't know, it's medically assisted treatment. That's what MAT stands for.
My question, I guess, is, and being uneducated on that subject, is I think Raggedy said, this is something that she's done for 20 plus years, and I'm going to assume she's lived in the same area, maybe even the same doctor, same clinic. Are they not seeing the decline instead of this being beneficial to her? And is there nothing they can do to help her?
So when it comes to MAT programs, and this is just my experience, and I know a lot of clinics are different. I do believe that they're seeing the demise. One, though, they will not take a person, a lot of places won't take them completely off or force them into anything. The worst thing that they typically do is they don't give you take homes. Like if you're under the influence of something, they will not give you take homes. But I don't think that a lot of places have the ability to force a patient into rehab. I think it depends maybe on the state, but I think
I've
a lot of
never heard of anybody being forced into rehab unless by court order.
yeah.
If
Correct.
she's in her technically, we want to say right state of mind, and she can answer like a date appropriately and those kind of things, they literally cannot force her into rehab. But like you said, they won't give you stuff to take home because there's certain obviously medications that you can still abuse, you know, is if you
Now,
can, but they'll make her come back every day to get her dose so they know she's not abusing it or selling it, kind of thing. They'll make her take it there, but they can't force her into rehab, and they're not going to cut her off cold turkey either because that comes with its own set of issues.
And
now
it's
when
Well,
she
and,
had
and if
her,
it's a state
okay.
funded, if it's a state funded
yeah, they don't care.
facility, they don't care.
Correct.
Clinic
They're
is not
that's
she
good.
would
their,
have,
that is their
Our
money.
healthcare system is flawed. It's for them just
Yeah.
because they're raking in money. That's sad. And I feel like in the comments there's like one or two people that's constant. She doesn't care. She doesn't care. She doesn't care. Even if you think she doesn't care, I've been in a box with Lisa one time, and people thought, "Oh my gosh, you're falling for it. You're falling for it." No, I'm not. But as a child of an addict, and as somebody that was just sitting there talking and being genuine and having a chat, and it was at one time where she was thinking that she was going to go, and she said, "I don't feel like I could put one foot in front of the other, and I always feel like I'm stumbling and falling." I don't feel like Lisa has, and I mean, she has support, but I don't feel like she has maybe the right amount of support where it doesn't come from clout, clicks, and views, and people wanting their hand in the, well, I brought her to this, or I made sure that she got sober type thing, where there's just people that are constantly like, oh, she's just an addict. She's a piece of shit. Like, I've met people that are sober that are bigger pieces of shit any other day of the week compared to Lisa's worst day.
you know what I'm completely surprised about is during the whole when Jace was taken and the first couple court dates that she didn't, if she would have sat there in that court and said, I need help, I'm pretty sure that court would have referred her to a rehabilitation facility.
They tried to help her in somewhat of that aspect, but listen, I want to say this, and then I will be quiet because I like listening to you guys go over talk about stuff. But anyway, again, you guys keep saying she doesn't care, she doesn't care, she doesn't care. But I am the child of a man that was in active addiction that threatened to hire someone to unalive me and my children. Yeah, I mean, that's just the frosting of the things that he did. It is not that she doesn't care. She is scared to care. There is feeling inside of her. I have seen it and I have heard it. I understand that a big part of what we see from Lisa appears to be somebody that doesn't care, but you have to recognize the fact that she is numb. That is what the DOC does for her at this point. It's not even about the euphoric high anymore because she's been doing it for so long. I imagine she doesn't get the same effect from it that she once did, but it's about numbing, being numb. She doesn't want to feel. She does feel and she does care, but she is scared of that, which is why she continues to do what it is that she does.
A lot of addiction starts because of self-medicating.
Absolutely.
Covering pain.
Trouble, y'all. Here comes trouble.
We don't feel.
I don't know. I think Lisa could be the greatest comeback story ever. She would just go ahead and give herself the chance. But I don't know how all of this TikTok stuff, I think it's a hindrance. I refuse to watch it now because I don't want to watch somebody unalive. I can't help it. I care. I know she's done lousy things. I don't care. about the things that she's done as much as I do about the fact that these children have already lost one parent to an overdose. I don't want them to have to live with losing a second parent to it.
Yeah, that's what I say all the time. Listen, I want to see her do what she needs to do so bad, and it would nothing would make me happier than to see her do what she needs to do. But at the end of the day, it's the family for me. It's again, I've been on both sides. I know what pain her family is going through, and that's where the biggest sadness and the greatest prayers come from for me is for her family. It sucks for them.
And it has to start with her. She has to be ready to take that step. If she's forced into it, it's just going to set her up for failure.
And that's for most cases. I have a feeling some people are going to say something in the chat. And listen, I know some people have been forced into sobriety by going to jail or being forced into rehab, and it's been successful. But if you look at the statistics, more often than not, if you are forced, it goes ass backwards. It does not go how you want. My dad went to jail, detox, had to feel everything, didn't have the mental help that he needed throughout that process, and that's why he's not here anymore. Some people, they do great in that type of situation, and they get clean, and they come out, and they're successful. But if you look at statistics, it more often than not does not turn out that way.
Look, I'll tell you, in the 16 years of my active addiction, 16 years, I'm 48 years old, but I spent 16 years in active addiction. And I tell you, I went to 15 rehabs, and none of them worked because they were all forced. And the only time it worked was when I decided to make it work.
And I feel like that's going to be the case for Lisa because a lot of people fail to remember that Lisa has been to treatment before. She has been to rehab before. Was it forced? I don't know. But it obviously didn't work. It was unsuccessful. Something has to change. Something has to be different. And like Green Eye said, it has to start with her. It has to start by her making that decision and then baby steps from there. Once she makes that decision, it has to be baby steps. It has to be something that is long term, a month, 2 months, 3 months. That's not going to be good enough. She needs to be somewhere for at least 6 months, closer to a year, I think would give her the best success.
And the mental health aspect of
Yeah.
it is just as important, if not more, than the rehab portion of it. And that's the saddest part, especially in Raggedy's situation. And I experienced this with my brother. When people are forced to get clean due to jail, there is no mental help available for people that are incarcerated, and it is devastating. It has devastating effects.
The only program at our local incarceration jails, prisons is prison ran NA meeting, and that's about as much as the recovery goes when in prison. I'm just saying, it needs help. It needs to be
Well, it
tweaked.
does because
rugs are
prisons
easier to
are
get
full
your hands on.
of not
Yeah.
just addicts, but people that are unmedicated bipolar, which is the situation with my brother, bipolar schizophrenic, and there's no support on the mental health side of it. Not a strong enough support, I should say. I don't want to say none altogether, but not a strong enough support.
And I'm telling you, TikTok is her huge hindrance because she needs to, actually social media in general, because I know the second that she does go into detox and transition to rehab, she got to have that phone in her hand and boom, back again.
A big part of her addiction. Listen, people, places, and things. You have to change the people that you're around, the places that you were around, and the things that you involved yourself
And
with.
ideas. You have to change your ideas as well.
And I believe that this app is an addiction to her. And when I say it's an addiction to her, it's the people that some of the people that genuinely care about her that come on there and they see her every day that aren't giving her money and stuff, but it's the coming on here and the high that she gets from that constant going off, the money she gets, and the supply that comes with it, I believe it truly does fuel that addiction.
I 100% agree. Social media is a big addiction for her. And in order for her to be successful in sobriety, unfortunately, she's going to have to stay off of social media. And,
Mhm.
you know, do I think that there are great things that Lisa could do for other people in active addiction in her sobriety? 100%. But it's going to have to be somewhere off of social media. And something else I want to add, I don't remember who brought up, doesn't think that she has the support that she needs. I agree with that. Now, obviously, she has her family and they would be there to support her, but I don't think that's the support that she needs. I think that Lisa needs a support that is a neutral party. People on the outside, not people within her inner circle in any way, shape, or form. She needs people that are neutral, people that are external. She needs a treatment center that is not just focused on the detox. She needs a treatment center that also has some type of mental health plan internally. And some of them do, some of them don't. Some of them are just strictly focused on detox, but some of them do understand that the
Yeah.
mental part of it is just as important, and they have programs in place at the facility for that, and that is what she needs.
Yeah,
100%.
she needs a
I
dual
tell you,
diagnosis
if
program.
she would take this and do it, and in therapy they give us what you hear this a billion times. They give you a tool bag of how to deal with everyday life and challenges after when you start in your early recovery, and how to you pull out your tool bag and you're able to play it out how it would go. Those are tools that she needs to really listen to. And right now, even after detox and starting early recovery, she's not going to take anything in until she decides. It's the ball's in her court.
Yeah. Krista and Ange, you guys have been sitting here so quiet and so respectful, but you guys did
Love
come
them.
back. So if you guys have something that you're wanting to add or say, I want to make sure that you have the opportunity to do so.
They are so quiet. It's scary. I'm scared.
I know both of them in the box being quiet like this is giving me a little bit of anxiety.
Good morning, Ange and Krista.
Good morning.
Good morning.
bitches. How y'all doing?
Good morning.
Oh Lord, she started the day talking about good morning, bitches.
Oh,
Listen, this
Start
conversation is not even what I intended on my live, but I feel like we have had a good conversation because it's been a completely different direction than what typical conversations.
Where the hell did Megan Lynn go? What? Rude.
She ran. You all come
We got a call.
up. She ran.
He said,
You came off mute and
she said, damn it, Raggedy unleashed them. I actually, funny yesterday morning.
You're cutting out, Krista.
Yep, you're cut out. You something this morning.
Huh?
You keep cutting out.
Oh,
We heard
hold
was
on.
yesterday.
Oh, no, hang on, don't go nowhere.
I'm not going anywhere.
Talk about
What
them.
do I hold on
Hold
to?
on. Can you hear me better now?
Yes.
Are we better?
Yes.
Are we better now?
Yeah.
Are we better?
You're good.
Okay. I talked to Ronnie. I talked to Ronnie yesterday morning for a good amount of time, and we were talking about Lisa because I had texted her when I had my live because people were concerned about
Yeah.
her needing to go to the hospital and stuff, and she, they're defeated. Like the whole family's defeated. Like they
There's
have
nothing they
been
can
trying to contact her. She won't call them back. She won't answer the phone for them.
do. It's gonna have to.
And it's, but I think when it comes down to it too, a lot of people, if they knew how Lisa became as bad as she is, like why she started the heavy rugs and all of that, a lot of times that kind of changes people's perceptions on Lisa altogether.
I think
And I don't
she
know.
doesn't want to
Who
have to
knows
go
the
through
story if he
grieving cold.
doesn't? Huh?
I think I think a big part of it has to do with she doesn't want to have to face the pain and emotions when it comes to grieving Big Cole. Now that's my opinion.
No, I'm talking about to begin. Because she didn't start the usage when Big Cole died.
No,
Or
Well, see, that's
otherwise.
what I was saying. Everybody acts like she's been doing this her whole life, but she did not get
No.
into heavy addiction until afterwards.
Well, The heavy addiction afterwards, yes, but prior to his passing away is when she graduated from not so bad rugs, I guess you would say, to the heavier stuff. That you know me, I don't know much about addiction. Have never said that I do. Never been around it. Never had a family member, friend, nothing. I'm lucky, but hearing the story of why she started the heavy rugs, it'll break your heart, to be honest.
Are you gonna tell it?
Huh?
Are you gonna tell it,
Spill it, girl. Spill it. Just spill it.
or are you not comfortable telling it? Because if you're
No,
not,
I will. I will. Okay, so when her and Cole, you all know about the story of Cole, leaving her for the best friend and all of that.
yes, Stephanie.
When that initially started, in Lisa's mind, if she was doing the same rugs as Cole was at that time, he would stay with her.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Oh my God, she was trying to trauma bond to this guy.
Yes,
Yeah,
and that's when she went from just I guess I don't for me to say normal rugs as opposed to heavy. I don't know what I'm talking about, but the heavier stuff.
Yeah, she went from functional to non-functional.
Yeah. And that's when it started, was her trying to hold on to Cole. And she got into the heavy stuff and she continued the heavy stuff, but then when he passed away, it just elevated way beyond, and you see where she's at now. But hearing that story and realizing, like, thinking to myself, she did all this to hold on to him.
Yeah.
And it's like, fuck, it sucks, because I mean, Lisa's a pain in the ass. She is. She's a pain in the ass, but she's still
A human.
she's a mom, and I know that her kids want her to get better, but I also know that the family is to the point of they just know it's not going to happen, and it sucks. It sucks real bad.
And I know that feeling. I know it so much. You get to a point, you've exhausted all options, and you've exhausted those options more times than you can even count. And there's only so much that they can do. And that's what pisses me off a lot about this app, is I don't understand that. There's only so much that they can do. And they have done it all and then some. Pennsylvania is different than a lot of other states. They can't force her anywhere. And again, even forcing her, the statistics are not good. The odds are not in her favor. It's possible it could work, but it's not likely.
And I just want to say that as sad as it sounds that this family is defeated, and I also speak to Ronnie, she's expressed the same to me. I would rather that they feel defeated than to continue to enable this.
Yeah.
Because they have been enabling this. Lisa's lived in her parents' house after getting evicted for how long, doing whatever she's doing, which then cut the parents off from grandkids.
But here's my thing with that, because yes, I agree with you. The parents were enabling it, but I asked everybody in the chat, if you were a parent and it was your child and they legitimately had nowhere to go, knowing that they are in active addiction, would you leave them on the streets or would you bring them in? And a lot of people will say they would leave them on the streets, but can you honestly answer that without being in that position?
That is your baby. That is your child.
That for me would be an impossible decision, because I've not been in that position. I don't know what I would do.
Exactly. That's my thing. Like, yes, I agree. They were enabling her, but we have to look at the situation that they were faced with. Like, I can't even imagine. My great grandmother and my aunt, they gave my dad a place to stay when he didn't have anywhere, and they knew that they were enabling him. They knew that they were. We had conversations about it, but I mean, were they supposed to just leave him on the streets? Like, that's a situation that you don't know what to do when it happens. Like, that's your flesh and blood, and for them, that's their kid. Like, that
I think there's a heavy sense of guilt that comes with either side of it, right? If you enable them, there's going to be guilt that comes with that. And if you exercise tough love, there's going to be guilt that comes with that. So it's really a no-win situation when you're
And they
talking
get
about your child.
that false sense of security where they're like, well, okay, yes, she's addicted, but she's in our home, so I can keep an eye on her. But I in this situation, I don't know what I would do. I would pray and cry because I couldn't turn my child out on the streets. I
Yeah.
could not.
So
And go
can
ahead,
I
Hannah.
just say something really quick and I'm gonna drop
No.
I can Hi. Don't be mean to me. It's too early for that.
At least say good morning, Cole. I
Good
feel so bad.
morning.
Good morning,
Love
hot
you
man.
all. I can tell you my mom deals with this on a daily basis, and tough love is hard for her because, again, like everybody said, that is her son, that is her baby. He is the baby out of all of us. I can tell you the 3 weeks that he was homeless and out on the streets and living in the woods were the worst, terrifying 3 weeks of my mother's life, that she didn't know where he was. She didn't know if he was safe, alive, anything. And I can tell you from just that experience alone for those 3 weeks and after, and him finally being back in the house and all of that, she would prefer him that way versus not knowing where he is at all times and not knowing if he's safe or not. And I think that also everybody needs to keep in mind, yes, did the parents enable? Did they give her a roof over her head? Did they give her a phone when she lost it? Yes. Do they know what's going on? Yes. But I think it speaks volumes that when they had to leave that house, where the position she's in, I think they are trying this other approach of, because let's be honest, if they wanted to, they would.
Facts.
Mhm.
100%.
If the kids and the parents and any of the family members wanted to, they would. She would not be out roaming the streets. She would not be saying that she's starving. She would not be saying she's living in an abandoned building. This is their way of trying to force her or push her in the direction of getting help because nothing else has worked.
Yep.
If you guys notice, I mean, other people are saying that, oh, she's with the family. She's with the family. She is not.
She's in a trap house, is where she's at.
She is not with the family.
She's
So I
legitimately
think everybody needs to realize that what is happening right now and the actions of the family and what she's doing right now speaks volumes. She's being put into a corner because they have put their hands up for it. I don't think that they are as hands-on enabling as they were before. This is their shit or get off the pot situation.
I agree. And you guys have to remember her parents are also human. And again, if you have not been in that situation, loving the addict and being faced with, on the streets or giving them a roof, not knowing where they are, etc., you truly, you can't get it. You can't. And I don't say that to be rude or mean or disrespectful, but, and I'm glad for those of you that haven't been in that position, haven't. But we have to remember that they are also human with hearts and emotions, and fear and worry and concern.
There is an amazing movie called 4 Good Days. It stars Mila Kunis. I tell you, if you have not seen that movie, watch that movie.
It gives you the outlook of the addict and the loved one.
It's hurtful. I'm not going to lie.
I just also want to say that Chris wrote, my son chose the street over living with me. Chris, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I maybe I understand that it hurt at the time that he did that, but I think the reason why he did that is because, yes, he's an addict, but he still has a heart, and I don't think that he wanted you to sit there and witness him day in and day out while he was suffering.
Easy with Chris.
Because I know it's easier for my brother to not show it to my mother.
I think that is a good perspective. I mean, a lot of people fail to understand that those in active addiction, they do care. Like, they do have feelings and they do have emotions, even if they don't allow us to see it. And, I lived under the roof when my daddy was doing some bad things, but if I was walking in the room and he was doing something, he would tell me, hold on, because he didn't want me to see it. He didn't want me to see him doing it. He didn't want me to see him in that way. Like they do care, they do have feelings and emotions. They just don't like to show them.
I'm gonna
There's
drop. I'm
two
sorry,
words.
Ange. I'm gonna drop.
No,
I just wanted to come
I'll
up and
message you.
say
I'll
that.
message you. There's two things. There's two big words that throughout this conversation since I've been in the live that haven't been mentioned. And those two words don't happen on this app, and they're certainly not happening for Lisa, which is personal accountability.
Oh yeah, we had that conversation.
Yeah, we did.
And it's not going to happen until she is
No.
deep enough into her sobriety for it to happen. Accountability right now is pointless because it wouldn't be genuine. It wouldn't be true accountability until she is at that point mentally and sober to where it can be legitimate accountability. It's never going to happen. And it's going to have to be baby steps.
I don't think she's capable of hindsight right now because she's still just so very much in the middle of this.
She's not ready to take accountability. She's not ready to take ownership for what she's done, because the moment that she does that, she has to come to terms with what she has put her family through, what she's put her kids through, what has happened in the last 20 plus years.
Yes.
That is a lot to unpack all at once. And she uses the rugs at this point as a crutch to get through the day.
Facts. 100%. 100%.
All right. I love you guys. I'm going to drop.
All right, love
Have a
you.
good day, hot mess. And that's why I say again, the mental health part of recovery, especially for Lisa, is just as important as the sobriety itself. Because when she does hit that point, if she does hit that point, I pray she does, to where it's time for accountability. It's not going to be something that she's going to be able to take accountability for everything all at once. It's going to have to be baby steps. And it's going to have to be very, very carefully handled. But there's no way. Like Hot Mess is right. Accountability is not going to happen right now. And it's not going to happen for a long time if it does happen.
Well, the first bit of accountability, personal accountability that has to be had is she's going to have to like everyone was saying, she's going to have to take accountability for the fact that she is an addict, recognize that, and she personally is going to have to check herself into a facility.
Mm-hmm.
There ain't nobody on this app, I don't care who you are, it's going to get her to do it. It's going to have to be her and her alone.
I completely agree with you.
You
I-
too.
She can't even admit step one, that she is powerless against this rug. She
No.
cannot even admit that because she says that she's not, that she's clean. That right there is denial. She can't even take step one right now.
She did admit, I don't know if you saw the clip, Hot Mess, but I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before, but she did flat out admit that she is still using rack, and she flat out asked people to send her money for rack. She said
And
she
she's
wanted
done
to
that
do it
before,
for a long
Raggedy.
time. That's what I'm saying though. Like she has admitted to her usage, but then a week later she'll say, I know I haven't used in 3 days, 5 days, however many days. At the end of the day, I so what Ange said, nobody on this app can make a difference when it comes to Lisa. And I don't even think her family at this point can make a difference when it comes to Lisa. I think it's going to have to be a neutral side of things, but it has to start with her. That's really all I can say. I mean, it has to be neutral. Nobody internally in the circle that she's in right now is going to be able to help her.
And
Raggedy.
everybody's saying, oh, if she gets in a good facility and that. I went to one of the poshest. My parents paid $78,000 for me to go to the poshest rehab. I lasted 3 days and ran. I'm just saying. It
Yeah.
has to be her choice.
If you want to read or listen to a really good story that actually portrays both sides of addiction, the addict and the family, Brandon Novak from Jackass wrote 2 books, and then his father wrote a book on his side of it, coming from like the family side of dealing with an addict. It is absolutely gut wrenching, and it's incredible. His story is just incredible. He went from, being a multimillionaire to being naked on the streets of Baltimore. And, said he wouldn't change until he wanted to change, and he needed, no matter what his family did. Um, it's just really powerful, and now he owns like several recovery houses and a rehab in Delaware. So it's pretty. It was it's pretty touching book. So in case
Check
anybody.
it out. What were you saying, Ange?
I didn't say nothing. I mean, everybody wants to blame. It's gotten to the point with Lisa where it's beyond ridiculous. The parents should do this, the sisters should do that.
We can't do anything.
She should do this. No, the only person that needs to or has to
Is Lisa.
herself. Her sisters, they're living their own lives. Her parents, they're living their own lives. We too often, and I've seen it with other stories as well. We blame people and we forget that we forget who the true person is that is to blame, which the blame of all of this, it doesn't rely on Big Cole. It doesn't rely on mom and dad. It doesn't rely on the sisters. At the end of the day, it lies solely on the shoulders of Lisa. She made a choice. She chose to pick up. There are things called mental health care. She could have reached out. She chose the position she's in today. Is it saddening to see her? Yes. But
Yeah, I agree.
you've got to make
I
that
agree.
same choice to get out. No one else can do it. No one.
I think that with the way that this has impacted the family, I mean, you're right. Lisa's responsible for what Lisa does, but I'm wondering if anybody has had the Al-Anon talk with the family, because they also need help.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I will say that the family is aware of that program. They are aware. When I tell you that the sisters, I know for sure, have done probably more research and looking into options than anyone could ever imagine. But they are aware of that.
Okay.
And I mean, Ange is right. Literally, the only way that any progress is going to happen is if Lisa decides that she wants to take the step to make that progress. But it is sad, the amount of blame that gets put on the family. Jess used to love coming on here and doing her fun videos that didn't involve Lisa, engaging with people. She really enjoyed it. But now she, will pop in a live chat every now and then, and sometimes she'll say something, sometimes she won't. But she doesn't get to do the content and the lives and the videos that she would like to do on here because people will harass her and
Exactly. Same with poor Gina. Gina cannot get on here and just have a fun, wonderful time without being harassed about her sister. These people are not their sisters. Let them have their lives too.
Well,
I love Jess.
it also affects, and I'm gonna use Raggedy as an example because she's very open about her story. I know we have others in the chat, but they're not as open. It also affects, people like Raggedy. She has lost her father due to addiction.
And I didn't know if you listened to Ange in the beginning. She just lost a good friend of hers. They just found her remains.
I lost my dad, my uncle, which was his brother, and they just found the remains of a friend that was my best friend at one point. We rented a house together. I was there for the birth of one of her kids. She went missing in 2022, and she was in very heavy addiction, and they just found her remains in the woods. I've had a lot of
Here's condolences. But when people get on this app, we're using Raggedy as an example with her dad. When other people get on this app and blame the parents, blame the sisters, don't forget there are other surviving members on this app that have had loved ones that have passed. And when you say that, you have people whose loved ones have passed that are sitting by themselves questioning, did people think that of me? Could I have done more?
Yeah.
So blaming the family, you're not only hurting, Lisa's family, you're hurting other family members of those who didn't survive. So
Absolutely.
choose your words with caution. What is your impact? What is the impact of your words going to be, not only to one situation, but to others that may be going through or have gone through situations and may still question their decisions?
Well, and that's what I was going to add to what you were saying, Ange, is that as a child of an addict, of two addicts, I can say, um, and they were addicts well into my adulthood. There's a lot of guilt that we put ourselves through just on our own, of things that, should I have done this differently, or should I have done that differently? So it's hard when other people are coming at you as well, when you're already dealing with your own guilt of things that you think that you could have done differently.
Yeah, I agree. And, I think that part of that is why I have bonded so well with Jess. Listen, I talk to Jess on the back end, and I check in with her, and she will check in with me. If we don't hear from each other for a while, one of us checks in with the other one. But I have a different connection with her than I do a lot of people on this app, because we understand each other in a lot of ways. When I tell y'all, she is one of the most selfless people. This last time that Lisa virtually unalived Thaddy, when Reaper found out, Reaper reached out to me and asked me to tell Jess to give her a heads up before it went public on the app, because nobody on the app knew at that point. And when I reached out to Jess and told her, Jess's main focus was seeing if I was okay, was making sure that I wasn't triggered by Lisa's actions. She wasn't worried about anything else at that moment but checking on me. And that for me says a lot about her character, because again, I know what she's going through. I know the emotions and the challenges that people that love an addict and active addiction face. And at that moment, y'all just don't know. Like, you people that blame the family and say things like that, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. I'm just being honest. Like, it's not okay.
Until you are in that position of having to love an addict, you have no idea what obstacles you are facing.
It's like with anything in this world. When we speak, we have to choose our words carefully. We have to think, is what I'm about to say going to help someone, or is it going to hurt? Because while you may think you're helping or you're going along with the crowd, when you're talking about, oh, they're enablers, they're this, they're that, talking about the family, don't forget today, when you talk about, if you think about talking about Lisa's family, there are several other families on this app, in this community, that have gone through this and their loved one is gone. Do you want them to sit there and think, do people blame me? Could I have done better? Of course you don't. So use your words, to educate, to enlighten, to uplift, instead of to be so judgmental. The judgment on this app is ridiculous.
It is. And I can promise you that we are already having moments of where we're beating ourselves up as it is. And when you say and do things like that, it only makes it worse. And you could put somebody in a very, very bad mental state in those types of situations.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I just want to apologize to Ange if that's what I did by using the word enable. I do apologize, but bringing up Al-Anon, really, it's because I care about the family, and they need to learn how to set healthy boundaries that they can live with and not feel guilty about, and maybe understand addiction a little bit more and how it does in fact impact their lives. I think it's a good mental health program for them to be a part of. And
no, what you're saying is you're using your words for education, which is positive. The comments I'm referring to are when people lay blame, like on Lisa's parents. They could have, they should have, you know, the should haves, the armchair quarterbacks.
Okay.
That's my problem. Is have have they asked? Do they know if the parents have tried this? Do they know if the sisters have tried this? Do they know the laws in Pennsylvania? You know, not saying the family needs to seek Al-Anon or anything else. That's giving education. That's using your words to educate. No.
That's certainly not my goal.
No, there are certain comments, because I read the comments. There are certain comments that are laying blame, where if we truly look at the situation, the only blame that's to be laid is on Lisa herself and not her family.
Correct.
And I say that, like I said, you have families. Again, I use Raggedy. Sorry, Raggedy, you're open about it.
Okay.
But there are other people that I know are in the chat right now that have lost someone to addiction. And they still question themselves to this day. What could I have done? What should I have done? And they are listening to this situation and blaming themselves. Not because of what you said, because you said you gave an educational resource for someone to use, which hopefully somebody does use. But when you're saying they don't care about Lisa, or they just enable Lisa, you've got people, who have lost loved ones that are sitting here saying, I didn't. I tried all I could. Why are people like this? That's what I'm saying, to use your words to empower, uplift, and educate instead of to tear down.
I think it's wild that people blame family members. I mean, my father passed away from cancer. There was literally nothing that I could have done. And addiction is a disease also.
It is.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm
But
gonna
it does. It does have to start with Lisa and her taking accountability for her addiction, and it cannot be the fault. Listen, every family is going to do everything that they can, and if their loved one doesn't survive that addiction, there is always going to be a level of guilt associated with that. Could I have done more?
Right.
And
Shoulda, woulda.
right. And the responsibility really falls on the addict. We all love our families to no end and would do anything to try to help them. And I know who you're talking about, Ange, and it's such a heartbreaking story.
I know you.
It really truly is just one of the most heartbreaking stories, along with Raggedy's as well. And at some point there has to start to be healing. And
I know, Kat.
I don't want to say it wrong because I have it in my head the way I want it to come out.
I'm not going to call you by your username, Gabi, because I know what that's for, and I know you'll probably come through the screen and bat me on my forehead if I call you that name.
Well, my name is Kathy.
Kathy, I in no way, I wasn't referring to you at all, because you were giving actual good resources.
Right.
Well, I just wanted to be clear. I don't want to hurt anybody. That's
No.
Sure.
I mean,
We would never do that. And let's be honest.
Yeah.
There's a difference in saying, that certain behaviors is enabling someone,
Correct.
than blaming them and saying that they're not doing enough. So yes, like I said, I agreed with you before. The parents have absolutely enabled Lisa to an extent, but that's where we
Yes,
go
they
to the
have.
conversation of, we can't really say what we would do unless we were in their position, but they're trying. She legitimately is homeless. They have not allowed her to go with them. enabling and explaining, like Angela, and giving education on what that looks like and what that is a big difference than saying this is all your fault. You
Right.
you aren't doing enough. You should do this and you should do that. Like people go way too far with it, way too far, and they don't
And
know
we
what they're
have
talking
to
about.
realize too, Raggedy, they're seeing so much more than we are. They're dealing with so much more, than we are. She comes on this app, she is begging for her rug money. She's lying left and right to get it. But they're seeing a lot more than we are, and that is somebody that they love. And it's very sad that they have to check TikTok to even see if she's made it to the next day. I mean, that is just a horrifying reality that they live with every day.
I think it's also important that people understand before pointing fingers at her parents that neither one of those parents are physically healthy and they are going through their own personal medical struggles right now. They may not have as much to give as a healthy person. They have to save themselves to be of any use to Lisa.
Well, I'm just gonna say this, and I'm gonna drop and get my day started. But if you are a family member of an addict that is still with us, or that has passed on, never forget. Don't let other people tell you how to feel. You're gonna love that addict. You're gonna want to help them in any way possible. You're not gonna turn your back on them. And no matter what anyone tells you, that's okay. You
Absolutely.
do what you need to do for your family member. No one on this app can tell you otherwise. And if your loved one has passed, be assured it was not your fault.
Absolutely.
And take comfort, when someone's passed, I know you don't say they're better off because they're not. They never are. They're not with us. But take one comfort, and that is to know that your loved one has been released from the clutches
Exactly.
of both the mental pain and the rugs,
I
and
want to,
that you did everything you could. Believe that.
yeah, and I want to add to that because I'm glad that you brought that up, Ange. So when my daddy passed, for whatever reason, my mama thought it would be a good idea to have the autopsy. Like she got the autopsy report because legally she was his mother, but like biologically she was his aunt. But anyway, she had somebody bring the autopsy report to my house and she said, I really want you to take a look at it. I think that it may give you a little bit of peace, which at the moment I thought was weird. However, keep in mind, my daddy was in addiction from 11 years old. I will say that. I looked at that autopsy report, and the only drugs or substances in that man's system when he passed away was the two medications that they were giving him for detox. And one of them was clonidine, and the other one was a weak benzo. That was it. He had nothing else in his system. And it did give me some sense of peace to know that he did have sobriety. Was it the way that we wanted it to be? No, but when he did pass away, he was 100% sober, and that had never happened from the time he was 11 years old. So that meant something to me. Not everyone will understand that, and that's okay, but that was a big deal to me because I was never able to say that my dad was sober, but he was the last few days of his life. So
That's a big deal, Raggedy.
it
It's
meant
a
a lot.
huge deal.
Well, I'm gonna see y'all on the TikTok streets today, y'all. Make sure you use your words to positively impact others,
Well, I'm about to
or
have a
you may
conversation
see
about
me in a
Gabby.
different light.
I'm about to have a conversation about Gabby.
Oh,
Oh,
I don't
my
know nothing
favorite.
about Gabby, so I'll
Have
step out.
have a good day, Ange.
See y'all later,
Have a
Stewie.
good day,
Thank
Ange.
you for coming up.
Yep. If you're going on the Gabby train, I love you. I'm gonna drop because that girl drives me nuts,
Okay.
nuts. But anybody
Okay.
needs me, message. I'm around.
Okay.
I appreciate you, Crystal.
Love
Love
y'all.
you,
Love
Krista.
you.
Love y'all. Bye.
Raggedy,
So
I think that you already know that I have a whole lot to say about Miss Gabrielle.
I
Girl,
know
me
you do.
too.
I want to start off, and then I'm going to have to mute for a second because I have to take and put this package in the mailbox. But this whole PTSD thing is really getting under my skin. And I've said a little bit about it, but not everything because I'm going to have to be careful with my words because I don't want to lose my platform because it makes me very, very angry. So, first of all, Gabby, how dare you claim that you have PTSD similar to that of a war veteran? How dare you claim that you have PTSD from cyberbullying on the internet, yet you are on the internet from the time that you wake up until the time that you go to bed, if you even go to bed. Sometimes you do not. Just know when you have PTSD from something, one of the biggest things that you are encouraged to do is to avoid situations that trigger your PTSD.
Absolutely.
Thirdly, PTSD caused by cyberbullying on the internet has nothing to do with loud sounds. People in the military, veterans that have PTSD that are triggered by loud sounds is because they were in freaking war with pew pews and bombs going off all around them. There is no reason why somebody with PTSD from cyberbullying, which is fake AF, would be triggered by loud sounds. The fact that you are making a mockery of PTSD as somebody that does suffer from PTSD is disgusting. And that is one thing that you will never quiet me down on. That is so freaking disrespectful. You really have no boundaries. And then something else I want to say, and then I'm going to mute for a second. How dare you make a video or live, whatever it was that you were doing, and put Aubrey's name in your mouth? The little
Right.
teenage girl that was bullied, that unalived herself, the fact that you would compare what you're doing on the internet to what that child went through. No, not how dare the person that had the conversation to raise awareness for the situation, but how dare you? Because you cause everything you get. People spreading awareness and discussing the things that you do is not cyberbullying. What that child went through was actual bullying. How dare you compare your situation to hers because they could never compare. You are disgusting, and you need to keep that child's name out of your mouth.
I don't
Period.
think there's a community at this point that she hasn't just upset to no end.
You know
She's
what?
she's made comments on the recovery community, the infertility community, the veterans community. I mean, there's no end to what she says and does. It's absolutely insane.
I usually feel the same way, but every day she surprises me by somehow finding one more community to annoy, poke at, irritate, and probably trigger their
Morning,
PTSD.
Tammy.
I
Listen,
know.
she's very triggering for me. I've
Yes.
had there's not a lot of people on this app that can get under my skin, but she is right up there.
When I was diagnosed with CPTSD, it didn't take 15 minutes.
No,
It took hours and hours and hours over multiple days in a neuropsychological office. And so for her to just have this 15-minute, Zoom conversation with somebody who thinks that she's a psychiatrist and, she's reading off symptoms from Google and gets diagnosed, that's wild. That is wild behavior. That is not how that is diagnosed. And I know personally, and I'll speak out about this, I was sexually abused as a child by my adopted brother. I have nothing to do with him. I do not seek him out because I don't want to be triggered. All she has to do is log off.
Right.
But she keeps saying, well, I'm not going to get off until this is done. Until what is done? You can't answer that question. What is the whole point of this?
Well, I saw an interesting video last night. I guess she was showing her phone and a bunch of messages were popping up along the top. And, you know, this girl is trolling herself. She's the things that she is doing to try to make herself out to be the victim is got to be just some of the most insane things I've ever seen.
She's a perpetual victim. Her own sister has come out and said that she needs to take accountability, get off of her medications that she's abusing, and get off the app. I mean, it's not saying a lot coming from, you know.
Well, I was just, it actually is saying a lot when somebody else that's not really quite stable is telling you, look, you're not stable. That's very telling.
I think for me, my breaking point was when I watched her smack this young boy in the face because he was excited about a new pet. And then the backpedaling. Oh, I didn't hit it. It was his hands. It was, no, there was a reflection in the glass, Gabi. And I'm not a smacker of children, but also he's got this, you know, fake diagnosis of autism. So that would make him a protected group of people. So you're smacking a disabled child? It just gets better.
She just really triggers me, and my heart breaks for that child, and it just completely blows my mind that she doesn't understand that that is what our concern is. I don't care what she gets on this app and does, but when it comes to that child, no ma'am, absolutely not.
She doesn't understand that we care about that child because she doesn't care about that child. She has exploited him, shown him in his saggy pull-up, sent nude photos of his private areas to strangers on the internet. She consistently has him involved in her live streams every day. She acts a fool. This poor child is never going to be able to outrun what his mom is doing on the internet.
I want to give an unpopular opinion. Do I think that Gabi doesn't care about Cam? No. I think that there is a part of Gabi that does love her son. However, I think that it kind of takes me back to Lisa again. A lot of people forget that Gabi is technically also an active addiction. Is the medication prescribed? Yes. But she's abusing that medication. And as someone who was on that same medication from first grade up until after I graduated high school and even into college, I will tell you, if you do not take that medication appropriately, your entire persona will change. You can love the hell out of somebody, but treat them like teetotal shit and not even realize that you're doing it until you come down and it's out of your system. Do I think that if Gabi would go and do what she needed to do to come off of that medication, because I don't even think she needs it, period, that she could be a better person? 100%. 100%. But it goes back to Gabi has to take that step just like Lisa has to take that step. Gabi is 100% an addict, an active addiction.
Well,
Just
and we
because
know that
something
people that take
prescribed-
those medications.
Hang on.
for
You're going very nice. I wasn't finished.
Sorry, babe.
It's okay. Just because a medication is prescribed doesn't mean that a person cannot become addicted to it. There is any medication that after so long of taking it. Even if you take it correctly, your body becomes dependent on it. But whenever you start abusing that prescription medication, your body becomes dependent on it and your mentality becomes dependent on it. Every aspect of Gabi right now is completely affected by her addiction and the medication that she's choosing. And she doesn't even realize that even though it's prescribed, you can still be addicted to it. And she is 100% addicted to it. Danny was addicted to it.
Well, and Gabby's diverting it also.
Well, and what I was going to say is people with true ADHD that take those medications, it has an opposite effect on them. It doesn't cause the hyperactivity we see in her. So I agree with you, Raggedy. Even though it's a prescribed medication, I don't think it's a medication she truly needs to be on.
And again, like that, the addiction isn't an excuse at all. But I stand on the fact that I think a lot of people overlook the fact that she is 100% in active addiction.
Correct.
100%.
I think another issue is that she is definitely addicted to TikTok.
Oh, fact. She's even said
for sure.
they bought her and Lisa both are big time addicted to social media in general. And that's the thing, is having to step away from the two things that she depends on every single day in survival mode. Because that's what she's in, is survival mode. And TikTok, social media in general, and that medication are the two things that she depends on to survive every single day. Because that's the mindset she's in. It's wild. She could get sober and still be a POS. I don't know.
Just watching the way that child is endangered all of the time is just completely insane to me. The no supervision, items left around the home that he could hurt himself with. She just has a complete lack of awareness when it comes to mothering. And the fact that she wants to have another one is just horrifying, because she can't even handle what she's got. She spends more time doing arts and crafts with her dang self than I've ever seen her spend doing with that child.
And I know Cam is delayed in his speech and everything, but nonverbal doesn't apply. He very clearly speaks in full sentences. He just gets ignored. I think she has purposefully delayed him to get that SSI check. And I think that that's why he misses so much school. He makes progress there, and then that endangers that money. And so then she keeps him out for several days in a row, and he gets stuck in that delay. I think it's sad, because I think C is a bright young man. I think he's perfectly capable of being a normal,
absolutely
well-educated, well-spoken child. Sure. And there's no reason for him to still be in pull-ups. If a kid can go and change their own pull-up, they can learn how to use the potty. It's the inconsistency from his mother.
Correct. Well, and I got really upset when she not too long ago went to his IEP meeting. My son was nonverbal until he was 5, and then when he did start talking, he started speaking in full, complete sentences. He's not autistic. He just had a severe speech disability. But for her to say, oh, you're only going to learn, things at school, and at home it's just playtime. I was completely blown away, because my IEPs for my son were very lengthy, and I was given a lot of tools and things that I needed to do with him at home to help him to continue to thrive. And seeing her just so blatantly disregard those things was so upsetting to me. You know, I mean, these IEP meetings are very long. There are many people involved, and they give you so many tools for you to be doing with your child at home for them to thrive. And she blew it all off. It was just absolutely insane to me.
Have you noticed that when Cam is playing, he's also looking at the camera because he knows that it's on?
I have not paid that much attention to what he's doing. It's so upsetting. It is so upsetting for me to watch.
Same. My first huge offense was the faked miscarriages. I have lost 3 pregnancies, and I actually did. I lost 3 pregnancies. And for this lady to just willy-nilly come out here and lose a pregnancy that didn't exist, wildly offensive. Then she goes and she's saying that Cam has been diagnosed as autistic, forged paperwork on that. Now she's, all the haters. She's dragged a couple of people to court, lost that, which is litigation abuse. Now to talk about veterans, my husband is a 100% disabled veteran, and I'll be darned if that's going to fly with me. Gosh, how many other the addiction community? I mean, that was a bold move, because if anybody knows anything about the addiction community, y'all are some of the strongest people on this app. That was incredibly stupid on her part.
It was extremely offensive, and I've lost 2 pregnancies to miscarriage, and that's when I started becoming more aware of her. I knew who she was, but started paying a little bit more attention to the types of craziness that she was doing on this app. And it's just been absolutely insane to me to learn how far she's taken things as far as medical records and, forging medical records, forging court, lawyer documents and things of that sort. She just has to take every single thing to the extreme. There's just no end to what she will or won't do.
I would love to know what your opinion is on this video that was supposedly taken by a stalker at Great Wolf Lodge.
I think she hired somebody to do that. That's my opinion.
Well, I heard yesterday, and I don't know how true this is, that Danny was actually at that, and I'm glad you brought this up, but that Danny was actually there, and there's a possibility that Danny filmed that segment. But here's another thing. She's claiming internet stalking, yet tells everybody her every move, where she's going, where she's going to be. If you're truly being stalked, you are going to keep everything you're doing under wraps. You're not going to want anybody to know where you're at and what you're doing. But she's loud about it.
Yeah, listen, ain't nobody stalking that girl. Ain't nobody stalking her. She sets everything up. It's rage baiting. It's a victim mentality, and that's just all it is to it.
Well, it's not stalking when you seek it out. Like the Telegram stuff from yesterday. I didn't even know what that was. But she's continuing to sit in that Telegram chat. That's not stalking if you're seeking it out.
In order for it to be considered harassment and or stalking, you have to completely remove yourself from the situation. And I can say that for 100% certainty because I had to take harassment reports out on somebody from this app. You have to completely remove yourself from the entire situation that has to do with the people that you think are stalking and or harassing you.
Correct.
Sitting in the same environment, whether it is a chat room, a chat thread, whatever it may be, a group chat, that's not stalking or harassment at all. That is people don't like you and they're making it clear that they don't like you and you're sitting back and you're watching it unfold. and you're participating just by being there. It's called guilty by association.
Right. Yeah, she creates a 99.9% of this for herself.
It's ridiculous. That's all I know. I've been watching Gabby and Danny off and on for a few years now. And I'm conflicted when it comes to Danny. Do I think that Danny is trying in some ways to do better? Sure. But do I think that Danny is completely away from the manipulation tactics and the things that she has done on and off this app? No, I don't. I don't think that Danny is 100% changed. Again, I think that she's trying in the aspect of what she sees as trying, but I don't think that Danny is 100% different like some people seem to think that she is. I will always be a reminder that Danny did some pretty POS things too, and she's never taken accountability for all of the things that she did. You can't just say, I've done bad things on this app and call that accountability. You need to take accountability for every specific thing. Like, you need to address each individual thing, and she's never done that, and she's not going to. I think they're both POSs. I'm just being honest. Unpopular opinion over here.
No, definitely not an unpopular opinion.
No, I mean, I do think that Danny's trying to do better. I know a lot less about her than I do Gabby. But Danny very recently just scammed a bunch of people out of money over cancer in conjunction with one of her mods, and I haven't heard her apologize for that yet.
I didn't, Michelle Lynn. I am multitasking, and I'm not even watching the comments fully. Sometimes I will glance, but I'm multitasking. I'm sanitizing and labeling jars and working and on this live all at the same time.
Oh, side note, I also have psoriasis, so I borrowed a little sliver of the body butter and put it on my psoriasis, and I think that you have a miracle cream.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Michelle, and I can't go in that room right now where he is, but once I take my lunch break, I can. I have to be careful stepping away from my desk whenever I am supposed to be at it, because my supervisor is known for just randomly calling me on Teams. But I'm going to take a lunch break in about an hour or so.
So the spiral that I witnessed from Gabi last night, because the welder salesman got involved, and we all know that means that's she's in big trouble. She stood there with Cam in between her and Aaron, screaming at him. Sorry, big truck. And I heard this little boy saying, "Shush, shush, stop, stop." And I thought she didn't fight in front of him. I thought she didn't cuss in front of him, because she sure did last night.
Yeah,
I've heard. I don't know if you remember this, not too long ago, but Karen was babysitting while she went out and did her door dashing or whatever it is that she does. And when she came home, the little boy had picked up a curse word and he was saying it to her, and she thought it was hilarious.
Yes.
Hilarious. And he repeated it over and over and over
Gabby
again.
laughed.
Yes. There's
Yeah, but
no discipline. There's no structure. There's nothing for this child. I feel like he is just constantly in survival mode all the
I'm
time.
going to have unpopular opinion again, and there are going to be moms who say they've never done this, even though they really have. When my kids were very, very little, if they picked up a cuss word that I said and they blurted it out, I will not lie and say that I didn't initially laugh, because I did. Because, the baby tone to their voice and then them saying it made me giggle. But did I eventually say, okay, That's not a good word. We don't say that. Just because you may hear mommy and daddy say it sometimes, you do not need to say it, and mommy and daddy need to do better and
Well,
try
that's
not
where
to
the
say it
problem
themselves.
came in, is that she encouraged him to continue to say it.
Yeah. Good morning, OG. But I will say I have laughed. But yeah, you have to eventually be like, okay, yeah, we giggled a little bit, but at the end of the day, you can't say things like that. We have to be careful.
What she did was she explained to her, quote, autistic nonverbal child that we only say those bad words inside the house.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Right? Like, he's not going to go to school and be like, Daddy shits. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, she continued to encourage the behavior, which was just absolutely insane. And and that's where the problem came in for me. I agree with you, Raggedy. We've all laughed at our kids, saying something out of pocket, but then you turn around and correct it and redirect it, and no,
Right.
she just continued to encourage it. It was just absolutely wild to me. But I agree with Villain. I give it maybe 6 months, and he's going to end up being removed from that home. I wholeheartedly agreed with Villain when she made that statement.
I honestly really am hoping that Darlene gets some kind of restraining order or some kind of protection, because that was wild. All of this coming from Gabi, who says that she doesn't go real life but has a binder of 2,000 screenshots that she submits to the cops.
Yeah, you hear her taking screenshots all the time, too. All the time. And
Hence my username.
to the point of 6 months, he'll be removed from the home. I want to say a couple of things on that. I'm not saying that I disagree with Villain. Do I think that there is a strong possibility? Yes. However, again, I have been following the Gabi situation almost from the very beginning. And when I tell you that you would have thought it would have happened by now, like CPS has been involved off and on for years, you would have thought it would have happened by now. However, what I would like to see more so than Cam being removed from the home entirely, because I don't wish to see any child have to be ripped away from their parents. But I would like to see Gabi go get the help that she needs. Gabi do what she has to do better and be better for herself and for her son, and then be able to have the life that Cam wants and deserves. The likelihood of that, I mean, right now, the way that things are, not likely. But we also can't predict the future. I try to find a positive in every situation, and I try to be hopeful even when a lot of people have lost hope. I would love to see that for Cam, because every child deserves to have their mother and father be the parents for them that they want and need them to be. Now, if Gabi cannot do that, then by all means, he needs to be in a situation and an environment that is safer and more beneficial for him as he continues to grow and learn and develop. But it would be nice if
I see where somebody says that Gabi needs parenting classes, but she never thinks that she's wrong. She has that narcissistic personality disorder kicking in, and she's perfect, and she doesn't do anything wrong. She's never sorry for anything.
Well, that's what I was going to say. She has complete lack of accountability. She cannot ever be wrong in any situation. And she will gaslight and gaslight and gaslight, like we all didn't just see what we saw.
And she's going to do that in therapy, which is going to make the therapy ineffective.
And going back to what Raggedy was saying, I think for a long time, CPS believed what she was saying. I really think that that's the case. And now that she's upset all these communities and all these eyes are on her, she's not able to get away with what she was getting away with in the past.
So they didn't believe her. She ran from them. She actually ran from CPS when they were living in the prior state before Florida.
Yeah.
CPS was on her ass. Like, it's never been that they, because you have to realize CPS sees things like this all the time. Like, it's not the mask that she tries to wear for all these people. CPS is not falling for it, but she ran from them and moved to a completely different state. And that kind of brings me to the therapy part too. So yes, you may try to gaslight and manipulate and all of those things in therapy, but we have to remember, they've seen people like Gabi before. That's what they do, and that's what they deal with and see all day, every day. So they're not going to fall for it. Now, she's not willing to eventually let that guard down and work with them and cooperate. Sure, it's not going to be beneficial, but she's not going to be able to trick these people or manipulate them or con them, because that is their profession. That is what they deal with on a daily basis. And I will say, the medication that she takes can absolutely bring out the worst in a person. And if there are any narcissistic traits at all within somebody, that medication will put it all out there.
The combination of medication that she's on is incredibly dangerous, which leads me to believe that it wasn't, one doctor did not prescribe this cocktail. She's doctor.
Yeah, she has to be doctor shopping, because they call that, when you take those two types of medications together, they call that speedballing, and it is so dangerous for your heart. So dangerous. And when you take the medication that she's on right now, technically you're supposed to get an EKG every so often. Like, some it's every 6 months, some it's every year. Like, they're already supposed to be doing an EKG because that medication can speed up your heart rate. But then to combine that medication with her other medication, that is setting someone up for a potential heart attack. It is so dangerous.
Well, the combination of the stimulant and then the hydroxyzine, which I know it's an antihistamine, it is not prescribed for allergies, it is prescribed for anxiety. The Lexapro
and lorazepam,
and the benzo. Like, that is just, it's a very dangerous cocktail.
And it is not uncommon for a doctor to prescribe that. So whenever I was growing up, I was prescribed the medication that she's on. I was also on another ADHD medication at the same time called Concerta. I was also taking a mood stabilizer called Symbiax. I was also on Depakote, and a few, like, I was on a lot of medications, and it was one person prescribing those medications. It's not uncommon for things like Lexapro and stuff like that with that medicine, as long as it is under medical supervision. But what is the most dangerous is her mixing that medication with that lorazepam. Those two things are never supposed to go together. Ever.
Even the hydroxyzine and the Lexapro have a major interaction, and it can cause serotonin syndrome. I may or may not have taken pharmacology in college.
Look at you go.
Yeah, and serotonin syndrome is no joke.
No, it'll make her extremely ill. But, I don't want to give her any tips or tricks, because that'll be her next act.
Listen, all my life, go on.
We would be able to visibly see if she was experiencing serotonin syndrome. There are very telltale signs that somebody is experiencing that.
I don't know.
Did y'all hear the podcast?
No.
I'm sorry. The three-way phone call that was labeled a podcast.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. What I heard, somebody posted multiple clips of it, and it was probably the stupidest thing that I've ever heard in my life.
Well, I listened to the whole thing, and she left out the fake OD call from a couple weekends ago.
Yeah, of course she did.
She left out the forging of legal and medical documents. She's left out a lot, which is, I don't know, it's very convenient for her.
Agreed.
But I would think that
she's always going to be trying to spin the narrative That's
Well,
what she
a
does.
reputable podcaster, don't they usually get both sides? Because,
You're supposed to.
Yeah, they are supposed to.
and this is the only reason why I do hope that the news picks this up, because they will do their due diligence and they will get all of this information. She didn't bring up her DV charges. She didn't bring up Aaron's DVD charges. She put it in her stupid book, but she didn't bring it up during the podcast. That's weird. Why is that, Gabby?
Well, I'm surprised, that she so blatantly discusses the weapons that she has in her house, because in Florida it is, and most states it is against the law for her to own any sort of a weapon having those DV charges.
Well, she's got that spray around her neck going to the school. That's illegal. You cannot take any kind of pepper spray onto school property.
Yeah, you're right.
And it's just so audacious.
The taser stuff, acting like she's terrified of the taser. I don't know. Listen, there's a lot there. Like, it's a lot to unpack. It's years and years and years worth
And
of stuff.
and who jumps and screams when their spouse farts? Come on.
Yeah, she's over the top with everything.
She needs to get off WebMD and go see a real doctor.
Agreed.
Well, that's just it. I think she researches these things that she wants to get diagnosed with so that she knows all the right things to say so that she can get her hands on the medications that she wants.
It's crazy.
Personally, with my CPTSD, it's not something that I like to advertise. And so I guess I don't understand. And severe emotional abuse because of bullying online. I mean, the fix for that isn't medication, it's getting offline.
Oh, but she's going to be the savior of all.
She's going to go get
in her
extensive
mind.
therapy when this is over. When what is over? She never says, like, what's the end goal?
What's the end game, right? Yeah, she's very triggering. She's very difficult to watch.
She is, and I feel really bad for that sweet boy. Oh, during the podcast, she was asked if any of this has impacted her relationship with Aaron, and she said no. And I was like, girl, you read that whole paragraph out of your book about how you beat the snot out of him.
Well, even the other night when she was saying, that she needed to go to the hospital and she needed to talk to somebody, you could tell he was just so done with it. And his response to her, he was just like so over it. So I think he's getting tired. But let me tell you, I don't have any respect for him either. He's not doing anything to protect that child.
No.
Yeah, no better.
He stays out of that house as much as humanly possible, knowing that he's leaving his son with somebody like this.
And he's on the stuff too, and he doesn't even get it prescribed. So.
Oh, see, I didn't know that. What?
Oh my gosh! If you watch his mouth, his jaw, there's no way in hell he's not taking them.
Yeah, I try not to look at him. Just.
Yeah, I think Karen helps them out a lot in that department.
Who knows? I can't stand her. She's the biggest fucking flip-flopper I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
Well, and I was checking my messages last night, and I was absolutely floored to see that Spread Love had commented all over some of my videos. I blocked her immediately. I don't even know how or why she found me. The videos were completely unrelated to anything. And I don't post awareness on my page, that, Raggedy. So to see her pop up there when this is somebody I've never ever had any interaction with at all, just I only know who she is, because I've heard other people talk about her. So I was completely floored. I blocked her right away. Um,
That's the best thing
but
to do because she's targeting you, is what she's doing.
that it's just absolutely wild to me, that there are people on this app that will show these people support. And if that's where you're getting your army from, it's really going to be a failed mission. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why she would target me, or why they're. I don't know. It came completely out of left field. But she's
We
blocked
also
now.
have to understand that Lori Jones supports Gabby, and that in itself is problematic.
Right.
Agreed.
I don't
Sorry,
know.
y'all.
I
I
would
was
have
getting
to
iced
politely
Jackson water.
decline.
Raggedy,
What's up?
I love your face.
I love your face too. I'm trying to. It's gonna be in the low to mid 80s the next several days here. So I have these mini dry ice packs, and I'm getting some freezing for these packages I have to send out. I mean, they shouldn't melt in 80s, but again, it is butter and oil combined together, so I'm not taking that chance. But I don't know. This will determine if I'm going to continue to do body butters and scrubs and whipped soaps in the summertime. If not, I'm gonna have to figure something else out.
Well, my stuff came in 90-degree weather, and it was perfectly fine. It was the hottest it got was 97, which was the day it was actually delivered and in my mailbox. And I haven't had any problems at all with anything that's come my way.
Good, good. I'm glad. I don't know. I worry. I mean, even if stuff, here's the thing though, like if it melts, all people have to do is pop it in the freezer or the refrigerator and it will solidify. Like if Nani was in here, she could vouch. She left hers in her car one day, all day, and it did melt. But she popped it in the fridge for a few hours, took it out, and it won't be whipped and fluffy anymore. It'll be more of a butter texture, but it still works just as good. That is always something that I try to remind people. But I still don't want melted body butter popping up at someone's house if I can prevent it. So I'm trying.
Good morning,
That
ladies.
cherry one just is smelled amazing. I haven't used it yet. I've used the one that I ordered, the grandma's kitchen one, which
The cherry
smells
is
so
good
good.
too.
But the cherry one, I opened it up and smelled it, and I could have just eaten it right out the jar.
Yeah, it smells really good. I'm putting one of those in Nani's goodie box that she won. I'm gonna put a couple of full size products, and then I'm gonna put some 2 ounce things and some wax melts in her little goodie box. Good morning, Becky Lynn.
Good morning,
Hi,
Becky
I
Lynn.
actually have a body butter question.
Yeah, what's up?
My 13-year-old has eczema pretty severely, but she also has oily skin on her shoulders and back. So, despite whatever combination scrubs and soaps I've bought for her, she has had zero help with it. Even prescription creams haven't really done a whole lot for her. So I was wondering if you would recommend a body butter or a sugar scrub, or what do you think would be best for combination skin?
For the eczema, any of my body butters, scrubs, all of that would help. Because she has oily skin, I would start a face wash that has alcohol in it. One, that's a big thing, and that'll also help to prevent any type of acne and blackheads and things like that. But when it comes to the eczema, I mean, she could do 1 to 2 times a week. One of the body scrubs that I have, that would be helpful. She could do any of the body butters. It's just super important that she is washing with an alcohol based soap. That is the biggest
Okay.
thing. As long as she's using an alcohol-based soap, that'll help to absorb any excess sebum, and it'll also prevent any bacteria. And then she can rehydrate herself with the body butter, which will also help tremendously with the eczema. I have a lot of people that buy from me that have things like rosacea and eczema or just extremely dry skin. And when I tell you that they rave about how much it has helped and relieved those situations, never in a million years did I expect to get feedback like that. I knew it was good, but I didn't think that it would work that well for those
You've
types of
obviously
conditions.
done your research when it comes to your ingredients.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. Everything that I put into these products is specifically focused on skin benefits.
Raggedy, real quick, Homegirl says that her daughter has bad eczema and that she got her an oatmeal soap bar, and you also do make those.
I do. I actually have a soap bar right now that is strawberry shortcake and half glycerin soap, half oatmeal soap, and
It
it works
smells
really
so
well.
good.
And then I
Okay.
just made an oatmeal sugar scrub too, so or an oatmeal.
Before you run out of that strawberry shortcake, I'm going to have to jump on that because that is her favorite.
Oh,
She
yeah,
loves
absolutely.
strawberry.
Absolutely. All you got to do is message me. I still have, I'm pretty sure. I've been putting them in a lot of orders. Like, if people order something else, I'll throw in a bar of soap or wax melt or something, and I've put that in a lot of people's orders, but I still have quite a few bars left. So, all you got to do is message me.
It smells
Awesome. I'll do that. I'll do that.
I mean, like,
All right. Well,
I had to
I
tell
don't
my
want to take
daughter-
up your time. I'm at work anyway. I just had that quick question. I appreciate you, and I'll definitely take that into consideration because I've even went as far as to buy her the expensive Olay brands, and it's not done anything for her. And the majority of her acne is across her shoulders, oddly
Yeah.
enough.
She needs alcohol base for sure.
Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate you, and I'll be listening. And I love you all bunches. And
I love you,
Green Eyed
Becky.
Girl, you know you're in my prayers daily.
Aw, I love you. I love
I
you.
love you too. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Take
Did
care.
Kathy, in your package, did I put one of those strawberry shortcake soap bars in there? I can't remember.
You sure did, and I had to tell my kid not to take a bite out of it because it smelled so good.
So
It
good.
does. It smells amazing. So the white part of it, the bottom part that has the speckles on it, that's the oatmeal part, and the other part is glycerin. And then it has little soap, waffle mini soaps embedded into the center of it. It's pretty cool.
She was just over the moon about all of it.
Yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad. I love that, homegirl. I'm glad that it has helped your daughter too. I actually have to get some more stuff for oatmeal soap because that's a big hit. That and aloe soap in the summertime. Those are two really great products to have on hand. And anything with rose water in it because if you get sunburned,
Yes.
rose water is amazing. I gotta order some.
Let me tell you, especially for us older ladies, use it on your face. It has been just amazing.
Shell Shock said it tightened up some of her
Yeah.
spots on her face, like she was showing us. Listen, I'm telling y'all, yes, I did a lot of research, but I am my own worst critic. And when I started making these products, I knew I was using quality ingredients. I knew it was good, but I swear I never in a million years would have imagined that it would work in all the ways that it does. And that has probably been my biggest motivator to keep going, even when I feel like I just want to throw in the towel because it's a lot. It is a lot. Working full time and then dealing with that when I get off consistently. But it's worth it. It's worth it.
Well, you know, for my psoriasis, I'm supposed to use a topical steroid, and I would prefer not to, but your stuff works fantastic on it.
Good. There's a lot of ingredients.
Steroids will thin your skin.
It has anti-inflammatory properties. So a lot of the different types of oils that I use, like I use vitamin E oil, avocado, olive, hemp seed oil, sunflower seed oil, apricot seed oil. I use a lot of different oils, and every single type of oil that I use has some type of anti-inflammatory properties, which is a big reason of why I chose those oils. Grapeseed oil is another good one.
Well, you can add psoriasis to the list of things that you're out here curing.
Listen, one day at a time. No, I enjoy it. I mean, the hardest thing about what I do, well, the body butters. A body butter you would think would be the easiest thing to make, but it is not. Body butters take me 3 days total to finish, and then I have to jar them up. But the hardest part, honestly, is packaging. That is the hardest part of everything that I do is the packaging. Everything else, I guess it's just become muscle memory, and it's become so habitual and repetitive that it's nothing but a thing. In the beginning, I was exhausted just making one batch of anything. But now, all of that is easy. It's just packaging everything up. That is the challenge.
And everything always comes so nicely packaged.
Yeah, honestly, really, I was very shocked and happily surprised.
I try. Those big boxes that I got in, they're expensive. So I only use those if somebody orders multiple things. Like if you order 2 full-size jars or more, I'll use a big box. If you order 1 jar or 1 full jar and a mini jar, then I use my smaller boxes, and then I also use my customer bags for the smaller items. Eventually, I want to change things up a bit, and I want to have different sizes of those one types of boxes, and I can put the crinkle paper in there in every box, and I have plans, but listen, I ain't even been doing this maybe a year, if that. I haven't been doing it very long. Actually, I didn't start it until fall or winter of last year, so it hasn't even been a year.
Have you considered doing more, maybe a mail scent?
I have done a mail scent. Oh, let me tell you. I made a good body butter last year that was called Toes in the Sand, and it had a really good male scent. But there was this bar soap that I made. I made it in regular shaped bars, and then I made it in the massaging bars. And when I tell you, it had cool musk, sandalwood, and I think it was ocean breeze, I think. I don't know, but it smelled so good. My stepdad is very, very picky about the soap that he uses. It has to smell really good, and it has to lather really well. And I gave him a bar of that soap at Christmas time and said, listen, I know you're picky, but just try it. And when I tell you, that man came back for more. He wanted more of that soap and any other soap that I had that he could try. It smelled amazing. Amazing.
Somebody in the chat wants to know if you have anything that can help with a scar.
Pretty much all of it would help with scars. The body butters you use every single day, whereas a sugar scrub only 1 to 2 times a week. But the ingredients and things like the body butters would help with things like that. Sorry, I'm not.
Yes, I can speak on that because my forearms are scarred from folliculitis, and I've said this before, but my skin looks so much healthier and than it's ever looked, ever. Now, I can't get rid of the crepey skin. That's just part of my old age, unfortunately, and losing a lot of weight. But my skin looks very healthy, and the scarring from the folliculitis has greatly diminished. It's nowhere near as noticeable as it used to be.
Good. I'm glad. Now, it's worked wonders for my skin, but it's also done a lot for my teenage daughter's skin. She had really, really, really bad acne to the point that the pediatrician had put her on a daily antibiotic and a special cream, but that cream made her face flare up with these red blotches. It was terrible. So we swapped her over to an alcohol-based face wash, and then instead of a moisturizer bought from the store, I made her an unscented body butter. And she uses a very tiny amount on her face. Tiny amount. You don't need much. And when I tell you her face, like, I I wish I had before and afters. She was covered in pimples, especially on her forehead. And now, maybe one or two, and that's during her monthly time of the year. And that's it. Like it's made a drastic difference. And my son is extremely allergic to poison oak, like extremely allergic, and it always starts out on his face. And normally we have to take him to the doctor and he gets a shot, he gets oral steroids and a steroid cream. And this last time when he woke up and he had spots on his face that you could tell were turning into poison oak, I used an unscented oatmeal bar soap on his face. And within 2 days, it was gone, which was great, not having to make yet another doctor visit. I do not have any links right now. I am working on doing an online storefront, but it is very difficult when, one, you keep running into technical errors. It's just, I'm not doing Etsy because of the fees. I want to do Square, but every time I try to upload photos, I run into an error. But then also, every time I make a batch of something, it sells so fast as soon as I make that inventory video. It's hard to have an online storefront when you can't keep anything on hand, and that's not a bad problem to have. But still, it's very difficult, very difficult. Like, I gotta make a inventory video today with what I have left of the oatmeal milk and honey scrub, and what body butters I have left and whipped soaps. And I guarantee you, by Sunday, everything will be gone. It never fails. It doesn't last. I didn't know people were requesting the box.
So, hello, I'm back. Do you know that on Square you can put it to where you can limit, obviously, the ones that you have on hand in order to deduct them, but you can also make it to where you can not make it inactive, but make it invisible until you get more inventory?
Yeah. Yeah, I saw all of that. And I got to that point, but whenever I go to upload the photo of the product, every time I go to upload the photo, it loads and loads and loads and loads and loads, and it will load for several minutes before it eventually times out and tells me to please try again. And I'm talking about this has been going on for months. Months.
Well, for 2 years, that's all I did for some nutrition clubs around here is ran their Square apps and stuff like that and uploaded photos, products, inventory, and things. You have my number. You can text me and I'll help you or walk you through it or see if I can do it from my end.
Absolutely.
So, just so you know.
I appreciate that. I will have to reach out to you when I'm going to have some days off close to Memorial Day. So I'll reach out to you then. And
My brother is getting married on the 25th, so Memorial Day weekend. But that any time before then and that Sunday, I'm free.
Okay. Sounds like a plan.
Yeah,
I'll text
just let me know.
I appreciate
All right.
you.
Love y'all. My cat's in the background raising hell, so I'm going to go see what's going on.
All right. Love you. Have a good day.
Love you.
Love you.
Yeah, I need to end probably. How long have I been live, y'all? I haven't been live in so long, and then I come live today, and I've been on here, I know, at least 2 or 3 hours. But it's been fun. But I do need to end for a while. I may go live again tonight. I've got a meeting coming up here in just a bit that I need to prepare for. But I appreciate you guys hanging out with me this morning.
Well, thanks for letting me up in a box. I don't usually come up in boxes, but
I enjoyed it. You should do it more often.
I usually don't have much to offer. I just kind of sit back and watch. I'm more of an observer.
I feel you. I used to be that way, for sure. All right, y'all. Well, I hope everybody has a fantastic Wednesday. Try to make somebody smile today. Kindness is free. And as Villain would say, please don't be a piece of shit today because you never really know what the next person is going through. And Gabi, get the fuck off the app, bro. Go take care of yourself so that you can take care of your son. That's all I'm going to say on that. And Lisa, you know my thoughts. And that's all I'll say on that. But I will talk to you guys later at some point.
I messaged you yesterday, Raggedy. Did you get it?
No, I did not.
Why does that happen?
Well, it's not just you. It's been happening with my mom too, and sometimes with my husband. So, I mean, I remember I live out in the boonies, and my service sucks. So it may just be that at the point you guys are messaging me, I'm in a dead spot, and then it just never comes through. I don't know.
Well, just know that if a whole day goes by that I haven't gotten a hold of you, then that means your messages didn't go through.
Yeah, facts. All right, y'all. Well, I will talk to you later. I'll text you later on. Green eyes.
Okay. I love you.
I love you. Bye, guys.
Bye,
Have a good
everybody.